what most people might take them a good 10 years or so to see. We've pretty much been fast-tracked into the industry.
What is a good link and bad link for you?
It's always relevant because of the algorithm updates. I had to manage every account, and it was probably up until we hit like 150 clients, led to a lot of over-reliance on me and just overwork.
Victor Perez, a young SEO prodigy turned agency scaler and software innovator. From directing SEO at Social Firestarter to growing teams past 150 clients, he's tackled chaos, pivoted to AI-powered tools, and now advises founders chasing 8 figures.
What kind of hinders some agencies to reach 8 figures?
Once it hits 8 figures, I think that's where it really gets serious. That's where if you haven't gone through a lot of drama, a lot of turnover with employees, and you're about to, or I guess you're trying to scale to the 8 figures, I think the biggest thing is not hiring the right leadership.
So if you were to go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Take bigger risks. I'm a pretty nervous person, usually tend to overanalyze. Don't just get scared of, oh, there's a lot of clients to manage. Oh, something can go wrong.
Eat coffee with experts.
I'm super excited. We wanted to make this show happen for close to 2 years now, and we finally did it. Like, we met, I think, 2 years ago at SEO spring training, and that's when I started my show. And, I've been impressed by your team. So young, so creative, so hardworking. Having you here is amazing. I'm really excited to explore your journey.
Thanks. No, yeah, likewise. Obviously, you have been doing podcasting for quite some time, and it's one of those things I've never really been able to put my time into, but I feel like would be really fun.
Yeah.
But
I love interviewing people.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people definitely like watching you, following your content and everything, because you put in a bunch of effort. So definitely excited to join here, because yeah, it's been like 2 years of, oh, okay, I'll pick out a topic here and there. And now I think a topic kind of just formed on its own because of how much time went by. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely have a lot to talk about depending on how many questions you might have for me.
100%. I mean, we're going to talk about you being SEO director, how you grew an agency, how you scaled agencies, and now you're pivoting to the software business and how you built a software business, which is a whole different beast on its own. But I think this episode will be a great value for agency owners who trying to diversify their services or get to some different entrepreneurial journey. So yeah, Victor, how was it like being an SEO director in your career so far?
So, I mean, short answer is mostly chaotic. And,
On.
a lot of people say chaotic because of the algorithm updates. And those are definitely, it can be challenging sometimes depending on what it is. But I would say chaotic more so just because of the opportunity that I was able to find, which let me go really quickly throughout what most people might take them a good 10 years or so to see a certain amount of campaigns, earn a certain amount of experience. Myself and pretty much my team also, we've pretty much been fast-tracked into the industry. So it's been like a very short amount of time to have to learn a whole lot of things. And once you get to the managing of people side of things, I think that's where it gets even crazier than just trying to deal with Google's algorithm updates.
Yeah. What was did your business or any of your clients got hit by the HCU? Was there any algo update that really put a lot of memories in your put like a lot of headache into you?
Well, thankfully, I hadn't had to experience anything, at least not from the helpful content update. I know in my first agency that I worked at, Social Firestarter, I was coming in, although it was a very small agency at the time, I think like 50 clients or so, it was one of those situations where I'm basically adopting or inheriting the campaigns that were run in the prior years. And, especially, going a few years back or several years back, there were definitely a lot more tactics you can get away with. So I definitely saw a few crazy tactics here and there being used on some clients that I took over with. But it was mostly on the side of, thankfully, it was mostly on the side of just like cheaper links being used in a more aggressive manner, which is definitely fine to see a few years ago and moving backwards. So it wasn't too crazy. I don't think I even had to disavow anything back then. So I never actually got hit or had to deal with somebody that got hit with the penalty. It was more so similar to like stacking anchors and you start to get deranked. So it wasn't a total penalty, but there definitely was some cleaning up as far as just having to replace cheap links with much better ones, more natural looking ones.
What is a good link and bad link for you?
Yeah, so this is a great question, and it's pretty relevant even it's always relevant because of the algorithm updates. So in the past, it was always a big focus on looking at the main authority metrics like DR, and maybe looking through the link profile to make sure that there weren't too many spammy ones, or to make sure that you don't get the manipulated ones where people do like the Google backlinks or whatever that just kind of skyrocket the number in Ahrefs. There was
Or
a
like
lot
manipulated traffics and
manipulated metrics was so that was what I used to look at a lot, was just the manipulated metrics as far as like using random Web 2.0 properties that would just boost up the DR without adding value. But nowadays, I would say a bad link versus a good link, the main thing is the organic traffic that the given website is getting. So sure, the DR is important, but ultimately that's a pretty challenging metric to use on its own because people still do manipulate it. And nowadays people do a lot of like bot traffic, like the click-through manipulation off of Google. So that definitely just like bumps up the count as far as the traffic coming in and the authority figure as well. So you can't really go by the metrics anymore. You have to analyze the traffic that site is getting. If it gets its own real traffic, that's a good link. If it doesn't, that's a bad link.
Yeah. I just want to plug in like a promo here, but like it's real, but it's really real. Like at Digital Web Solutions, we really look at we have like 30 parameters minimum that we look at before we present our links to our clients. So then they can kind of just cherry pick, because in this link building industry, you still need to do like a lot of hand holding, which is fair. It's a lot of analysis that goes into it. But we also noticed that somebody would just like go by DR and traffic only, which is just like 2 parameters of a link. So yeah, like as you said, it takes a lot of time to analyze each and every link, and if you build it in volume, it just causes so much chaos and headache.
Yeah, that's definitely, I know like inflation's been a thing, not just in the US, but worldwide. It's kind of ramped up, I guess, in the last few years. But that's obviously one thing that's always going to increase costs and prices, but that is another, I guess, challenge into the mix, is there's a lot of agencies that have gotten their clients locked into a contract that maybe are promising a certain number of links every month. But now, that's not really a scale, or it's not a long-term way to do it, because, all these different parameters, all this checking and manual work that's involved, naturally you're not building as many links anymore. You're building fewer at a better, higher quality level. So if they start asking for price per link, it's going to be way more expensive than what they might have seen in the last few years. So that's definitely a big challenge for people to get around if they haven't already told them, hey, it can probably get more expensive because of so on and so forth.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. Other than link building, what other challenges did you have as SEO director that caused you, as you said, the chaos? People management was one of it you mentioned, but was there other things, technically speaking?
So obviously I started at a very young age, not very much experience outside of like lead generation properties and stuff like that. But at least the first agency I was with, the first one and the second one that ended up acquiring it, there weren't very many experienced people working there. For one, everybody was pretty close, right? Because nobody's way higher level than you are, so there's some camaraderie that can be built with that. But basically the answer is there wasn't a clear guide as to how to run the business managerial wise. So the SEO itself was never a challenge, and once you train somebody up, or if you hired somebody up with talent, SEO is never actually a challenge. It's always just managing the agency as it's trying to grow. So one of the first big challenges that taught me a lot is, I guess it was a structure where they hired me as the director, but I was also the first SEO hire, meaning I had to manage every account, and it was probably up until we hit like 150 clients that we were actually building a team underneath me. So not knowing a good way to manage it and just kind of doing the best with what you've got led to a lot of over-reliance on me and just overwork, like just way too much overwork involved with that process.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Matt Singer's management course is also great for those of you who guys are stuck in this loop of like not delegating, not sure who to hire, who is a good talent. For
Definitely
sure.
need to either, if I were back in that place, I mean, or I guess anybody that's in that place where they're in an agency, either their first one that they're director of, or one where they can tell the leadership isn't really like, they don't really know what to do. Definitely need to hire somebody that knows how to manage an SEO business that's scaling, or like you said, courses, because I guess the amount of wasted time, amount of wasted money, amount of churned clients, like that adds up over the years. And just doing your best when you could just hire somebody that can tell you all the different ways you can do it, I mean, that is crazy valuable, at least in this industry with so much misinformation or random stuff being thrown at you from everywhere at once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we do live in a time when there's just so much information overload. You don't know who to listen to. That's why, like, when I run any podcast episode, should it be mine or Digital Web Solutions, I always look at like, okay, is this person knowledgeable? Does he or she knows their shit? And because I feel responsible for like, am I spreading misinformation out there or not? Or like, yeah. But I agree. You mentioned that you would like to share some of your insights. What kind of hinders some agencies to reach 8 figures? I mean, 8 figures, like we're talking huge numbers here. You said that some of the account, like when you joined the agency, it was like a smaller agency because they only had like 50 accounts. I mean, like that's a lot already for some people. So could you share with us what is holding people back?
I guess initially I could see if you're still in the position where you don't even know how to manage the business to its best of its ability, then you're probably also running into, like you said, account sounds like a lot. So I guess there's a mindset part to it where it's like, well, if you're scaling it, then no number really should feel like that. But so how do you deal with these scaling numbers? Because a lot of people might look up on Google or something and be like, okay, how many accounts can my SEO director manage, or what's a reasonable number? And I believe it'll spit out something like 12 to 20, which already is like, okay, well, true, but if you have clients that are like paying you $1,000 a month and you can only build like 1 or 2 links for them maybe every month, how much work really is it to manage 50 accounts as one person? So I guess the numbers, not understanding the numbers is a big challenge. Wait, can you repeat your question? Because I went through so many thoughts there.
It's okay. Basically, my question was, but I think you already kind of like started to explain, like, what is it that hinders people from not reaching 8 figures? Like, what is it that just doesn't make people more money?
Oh, okay. So that's like the beginning of it, but that's more so like maybe 7 figures or so. I think when you go and you're about to, or I guess you're trying to scale to the 8 figures, I think the biggest thing is not hiring the right leadership.
Okay, leadership.
Right, because we talked a little bit about managing things, getting it up to like 7 figures. But now, once it hits 8 figures, I think that's where it really gets serious. That's where if you haven't gone through a lot of drama, a lot of turnover with employees, you might start to run into it at that point. So how prepared are you? How much have you done to prepare for that? And it all goes back to, did you hire the right people to make those decisions? Because you will plateau right as you touch the 8 figures, or you might come back down a little bit. But that's what I would say, is hiring the right leadership team.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So if you were to give an advice to agency owners, what is the leadership role that they should be focusing on? Like CMO or CO? Like what?
I guess you need to focus on every C, because if, let's say, you don't have somebody strong on the paid traffic side, like a paid traffic director, then you end up growing and growing and growing with SEO only, and that's not a great idea. I mean, sure, SEO is great, but probably to hit 8 figures, you need to be into multiple marketing avenues that you're providing for people. There's definitely an equal focus on each of them. Otherwise, you'll have over-reliance on one director or one department that they manage. And it's just, you want it to be balanced. So that's what I would say there. Now, I would say, as far as guidance to somebody trying to pick the right people, EOS, as far as internal management, is definitely a great structure. But for hiring...
Internal? What was that?
EOS, entrepreneurial...
EOS.
Yeah, entrepreneurial operating system. Definitely good as like a foundation for the management. But then for hiring, I would say the one I've really gotten the most knowledge from and the most success from, as far as picking somebody and knowing that they're the right person from the start. It's a company, or like a survey type of thing. There's a company attached to it, but it's called Culture Index. So the Culture Index. It's sort of, there's a lot of those Myers-Briggs tests here and there that have different variations, but this is the only one that I've actually agreed with. So that's what I would point people to. If not using the service, trying to see how they actually put together their analysis.
Okay. Culture fit. I mean, I think a lot of people have heard about the MBTI test, the Myers-Briggs one, but I personally don't agree with it because it's kind of based off of like some fiction.
No,
it's fun to talk
ultimately, it has to be a mix of what type of person you are, sure, as far as culture, but what person are you at work, which also goes into like what you're trying to become. And I think when you tie them both together, I'm not the best as far as like emotional intelligence and whatnot, but I think when you bridge both of those sides together is where you see, is this person actually trying to be the best at this position? Or are they trying to be the best at a different position that we're hiring for? Or do we not have room for them because they just don't fit into any type of culture? Which is there. It's not about agency culture with this test. It's about seat culture, as in we don't want the specific role, their culture, because if you have everybody in the agency doing the same culture, you have a cult. So now that was a very big distinction that I learned from prior place that I worked at. Versus now, where it's like, no, it's about the specific role you're trying to fill and what the best person is. And then it works right when everybody is like friends within your department. Like everybody just perfectly gets along with each other.
Yes, I've been chasing that type of culture as well, and I'm happy I have found it. But it takes a lot of trial and error, I think. But I'm happy you pointed out that, just because you like someone as a friend doesn't mean that they are the same awesome person at work, because at work we're trying to achieve different things. I have learned this lesson this year, actually, or like last year during running the SEO Mastery Summit, where like I would just ask my best buddies for, doing some work at the summit, but that flopped. Like it was just not, it was my fault ultimately. Who was the one who made the shot, who made the call? It was me, right? So making the decision is always like the responsibility on you, but it's a good lesson to learn. Like just because you like someone doesn't mean they will work out at your company.
Yeah, definitely. I made that mistake before, just with like a business I try to launch. But I think if anything, my friends learned the lesson of don't ask for help or don't try to partner with them unless you're serious, because you're going to waste Victor's time on this.
Yeah. I would like to ask you for another new venture. So you started a new software company, and I think it's going to be a shift for SEOs, because SEOs are really good with I feel like it's like a video game, like SEO is like kind of like unlocked. What is it like to run a site by yourself? What is it like to do multiple sites by yourself, then running a company, and then you realize, oh my God, now you have to manage so many people. A lot of people then will move on to creating an actual product. And of course, because we are SEOs, we are stuck in this like online world. So what product will they create? Boom, a software. So could you tell us about your software? Like what does it do? What problem does it solve?
Yeah, so I think it is pretty much like a video game. I do play a lot of games myself, but one that I haven't played, I've only watched, that it definitely relates to or feels like is what we're doing with all of this. I think it's Factorio. I don't know if you've ever seen that. But it's very much like this isn't as efficient. How much of my time is worth right now? How much of the resource is worth here versus there? And then if I fix this, it also fix that. Or if I don't put attention here, that'll break and it can break all this. All that stuff, it definitely feels a bit like a video game. At least if you've been, lucky enough to be able to scale an agency or be a part of one that was scaled with your help. So I guess shifting into like the progression, because a lot of people, after they do well with an agency, they might want to go into software. So I didn't actually create this software that I'm a part of now. I joined forces with them. I am like a major partner with this brand that we're building with the software, but I guess I was here once there was like a basis to it established. And then I've come through and kind of revised things, fixed things, and in the last year or so started to actually add to the software and to what it is now. But I guess before I go into what that is or the specifics there, I think, so if you've scaled an agency, I mean, there's a lot of more room for further scaling, even if you get on top of one specific niche. You can just start going into different niches. You can start spinning off into multiple brands that are doing the same thing. You can try to then at that point replicate what you built with your first team, use the same kind of blueprint, hire this person first, maybe switch this up. But you basically start like copy pasting is one thing that you can do to start building more agencies. But I guess, that comes back to, I guess, what you're trying to get out of life. Because for me, I own my own personal agency. It's much smaller. It's only 13 or 14 clients right now. But ultimately, my goal in life is not to be managing client SEO. I've been lucky enough to get really good people as referrals into my private business that I have. And if it wasn't referrals, if it was just straight people coming in from ads, like you have to grow for a big agency, I wouldn't be able to do it because I wouldn't want to do it. So I guess there's different ways that you could end up with a big agency. Maybe you own it and are the CEO. Maybe you own it, but you hired another CEO to run it for you. But whichever way you go, I guess you have to look at what you actually get enjoyment from. Nowadays, I've had almost a decade now of experience, so I have a lot to look back on and really see what were my most productive days, which days did I really dread getting up and getting on my computer. And it becomes clear I'm way more excited about something that can scale easier. That's cool because it can make money faster, but also something where I can create things, use the little bit of creativity that I have. So going back into, I'm kind of running off on a tangent there, but once you realize that, or I guess if you're a good SEO, more likely than not, you probably don't like talking to people so much. So if you've already kind of delegated everything away to other people and you don't have to talk to them anymore, you're into the same position as even if you're an SEO director and you've reached like the top of like you've gone from SEO tech all the way up to director. It's very similar because now you're starting to think, what's the best use of my time? Well, if you've delegated everything away, whether you're an owner or an SEO director, at this point you've reached a point where if you were to sit down and work on an SEO strategy or even like log into the website yourself, you're wasting a lot of like money because if you own the business, you can definitely value your hourly time. But even if you don't, the amount that they're paying you every year, you can see it's no longer worth it for that brand to be paying you that much money if all you're going to do is the nitty gritty SEO work. So it's definitely like a point where you have to force yourself now to do something new because it's like, what's like the next step? I'm not the type of person to kind of sit there once I've reached a certain position and be happy with it. I'm always looking for the next step. So, both on the personal side and on the agency side, like the agency's time is going to be worth more if you're exploring other things that can be scaled further. And personally, like I get more enjoyment out of doing new things. So software. So that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest like little tangent there to lead into software. But what you choose, I think ultimately has to be something that you enjoy. And although I don't enjoy coding myself, I do really like discussing coding or discussing what can we pair together? What can we integrate together? Or going the other way around, I want to do this. What can we do to get to that point? And then kind of discussing with the actual coders that know all of this stuff and realizing, oh, we can actually create something new that isn't in the market, or we can create something that is in the market, but we could do it for way cheaper. That's kind of what excites me. So I went the route of tracking, so SEO rank tracking. This is something that's internally already used at On The Map Marketing in Miami. So it's both the internal rank tracking tool as well as now a public-facing software platform for rank tracking and managing GBPs. So that was the basis to it. Just the structure there of being able to handle those features, those functions for agencies and for ourselves is obviously valuable to some degree. But the rest of it is really where I come in and really get the fun out of it, which is trying to take it and lead it into the next step. So already the basis is there as far as this is not just for the new marketer that needs the cheapest tool because they don't have money coming in. It's not just for them. It's very much based off of an internal marketing department, whether that's an agency or that's for the internal marketing team at any law firm. So that's kind of like you can start to see how it's bridged together, how it's tied together, because one, I only do legal, and I work with agencies and I work with some of the largest law firms right now in the US. So that's obviously where I have to, I'm thinking like, who can I sell it to first, right? I had to make that tie together because otherwise I don't really know who's going to go and be the guinea pigs versus going to a law firm that I'm maybe already working with, showing them what I have put together, and they're like, oh man, this is awesome, and we can give you direct feedback and contribute to it because maybe we want it to work a certain way for us. So that's like how I tied into it. That's the initial like clients of the software, and that's also where a lot of the guidance comes from as far as we need it to work this way. We're coming from this other software because we didn't like it because it didn't do this. So we would like yours to work for us.
Yeah.
So that's what's kind of fueled things up until now and kind of leads us to today where I'm scaling it with some AI features. There's some pretty exciting ones that are, I think it might have been rolled out already, or I think it's pending my green light, but there's a lot of very handy, very time-saving, cost-saving features that we're adding in just with a bunch of different AI integrations and a little bit of guidance, I guess, just from our experience.
That's amazing. So what I want to highlight from this very elaborate answer is that you created a product that essentially complements your existing service and clients. So I think many people also trying to kind of chase shiny objects, but I think what you've done is quite strategic to the law firm companies you've been working with so they can actively track their rankings all the time without like your team reporting it every week or every day. I think people should learn from this because sometimes making a big step could start from your existing, what you have already.
Yeah, and that definitely is something that can be seen at least in the legal SEO marketing space. So other examples of this, because really, this is kind of just like a small example, really. Obviously, a lot of work went into place for TrackRight, even up to where it is now. But other agencies, you can see I guess the thought of it, the strategy is very simple. Like you said, you just solve what your clients specifically need. So you spent all this time building up a bunch of clients. You scaled an agency of some sort. You have people there that have issues. Hopefully, they're telling you about them. If not, then that's an issue. But you should already be getting people complaining about our maps ranks aren't doing well because we suck at getting reviews. We can't answer the phone call every single time because I'm just one attorney and one support staff. So all of a sudden you can see in the industry people will do for the support staff, okay, let's build a brand for virtual assistants. We train the virtual assistants. Our clients get to tap into them and they're already trained. They already know what to do. They already know how to do their CRM. So we just like it is a hiring and recruiting brand. But they spin that out and they immediately already have clients for it. The other one, what was it? Reviews. Oh, well, sure. There's Bird Eye. There's a bunch of really great platforms for it, but they're really expensive and they don't support these specific places that attorneys need to get their reviews on. let's just put it together. There you go. Now you built a review management platform. You have to figure out how to do your mailing and whatnot and spam prevention. But you have clients that already pitch who are probably going to buy it from you.
Yes, amazing. Well, Victor, I'm so happy that you shared your journey so far with us. And please, everyone, check out the software in the link description below, because you guys can find it, and also check it out for Victor. And also, I will link your agency if anybody listening as well. And in the meantime, before I let you go, I'd like to ask you this question. So if you were to go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
My younger self, other than hiring somebody for management consulting, I think the other one would be, ooh, that's tough. See, because I try to maximize everything I do, but it would probably be to take bigger risks.
Take bigger risk.
Take bigger risks. I'm a pretty nervous person, usually tend to overanalyze. So I would just say take bigger risks to myself. Because I've always worked a lot, but try to make bigger plays, bigger solutions. Don't just get scared of, oh, there's a lot of clients to manage. Oh, something can go wrong. But yeah, that's what I would say.
That's amazing. Well, Victor, thank you so much for joining the show, and I hope to see you again, maybe in person.
For sure. Thanks for having me on. Let me know if anybody out there has any questions.
Yes, amazing.